And India is basking in the glory of achieving a diplomatic coup by making the East and the West agree to the New Delhi declaration at the G20 Summit. And now, New Delhi is set to spice up things between the East and the West as the historical relationship is back on the map. Our next report gets you more. Take a look.
China's economy is in choppy waters, and with it, its most ambitious plan, the Belt Road Initiative, is feeling the heat. The Italians are the latest to steer clear of Xi Jinping's pet project. Enter New Delhi. It has constructed a broad alliance of states to create a modern-day spice route linking Europe, West Asia and India, boosting trade ties with potentially wide-ranging geopolitical implications.
With the participation of Saudi Arabia.
Many are pegging this to an ode to the ancient spice route, dating back thousands of years to around 3000 BC. Spice route acted as a bridge for cultural and religious exchanges between different regions of the world. The previous route passed through historical cities of Asia, Northeast Africa and Europe. Cinnamon, cardamom, ginger and turmeric were important items during the earliest evolution of trade, thus giving it the name of the spice route. It was a major export facilitator for India, China, Indonesia and several West Asian nations. The spice routes were established 2000 years before the Silk Route was established. And now the ambitious multinational corridor is being touted as the 21st century spice route. The project includes India, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, the European Union, EU member countries France, Italy, Germany and the United States. The corridor will include a rail link, an electricity cable, a hydrogen pipeline as well as high-speed data cable. The new trade corridor is divided into two parts. First is called the Eastern Corridor. It will connect the Indian port of Mundra on the west coast of India with Fujairah port in the UAE. The containers will then be transported by rail via Saudi Arabia and Jordan to the Israeli port of Haifa. After this, the Western Corridor will take Indian goods to Marseille in France and ports in Italy and Greece. Beijing has officially welcomed the new economic corridor, but it doesn't want it to become a geopolitical tool. Meanwhile, Ankara is feeling left out. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan says that there could not be a corridor without Turkey. The modern version of the ancient spice route will not only speed up trade links between India and Europe by up to 40%, but will also have wider geopolitical ramifications too. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
And for more on this, we earlier spoke to William Dalrymple. He's a historian and visiting fellow at All Souls College, Oxford, who joined us from London. Take a listen as to what he had to say on the story.
Well, I'm not a geopolitical commentator. I'm a historian, Ananya. But what I can tell you is that there's been a very recent domination of all discussion of East-West trade by the idea of the Silk Road. And contrary to what most people think, the Silk Road is not actually an ancient idea. It was only dreamt up in the 19th century by a German geographer who called it the Seidenstrasse. And it only really became popular in English in the kind of 1990s and 1980s. It's a very recent idea, and then got sort of militarized and weaponized by the Chinese government, who created the Belt and Road Initiative around this ancient idea. In reality, in the classical period, at the time of ancient Rome, the main east-west trade route was nothing to do with China. China and Rome barely knew of each other's existence. They were legendary entities. Neither were very clearly aware of the other. But at that time, there was a regular motorway across the Red Sea connecting India and the Roman Empire via the ports of Egypt. And 250 ships each year passed just out of one port alone, backwards and forwards. And these were not tiny boats. These were major container cargo vessels of their day, and hugely valuable. The latest estimates estimate that around 1/3 of the entire Roman budget was extracted by the customs posts for goods coming not just from India, but from the Arab world and Ethiopia, coming up the Red Sea And when they taxed them at Berenike, which was the Roman port on the Red Sea, they produced such colossal quantities of money for the Roman exchequer that it paid for a third of the entire military budget of the empire.